It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. It is that time of the weekend once again, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll be talking about Blake coming up in just mere seconds here. But first of all, I want to give you some contact information in case you want to get in touch with Blake, which after hearing the show today, I'm sure that you probably will. The phone number in Sloan Realty Group is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to the website, which is blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. We'll repeat all that contact information lots over the next 30 minutes. In the meantime, let's get the show started with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Got an awesome new show. Tons of great stuff we'll talk about that's really kind of current right now. The questions I'm getting. First of all, we'll dig into the market stats for anyone that missed last week. Very, very good numbers last month for our real estate market here, which is great news to see after 2 or 3 months of decline we saw. We're going to talk about one of the most common questions I've been getting lately, which has to do with the big R word, right? Everybody's asking about recession. What happens if we run into a recession? What's that going to do about home values? And I really want to share some national data. I think it goes to the last 5 recessions, and it really breaks down what the real estate market did as a whole. And it's actually, predicted to be that much of a huge effect on the real estate market this time compared to last time. We'll talk about why in the show as well. We'll talk about, again, the brand new market numbers, the mortgage rates. We're still hovering down near 3-year lows, which is awesome. We'll talk about exactly where they are this week. We'll talk about the national numbers. I want to look at the national numbers in a report I was scouring through that had to do with the West Coast. You can see how the West Coast compares to the South and how we compare to the Northeast. And so that's something that was interesting, where you're seeing some declines in some of those areas that do lead us by about 6 months. And so that's something we'll talk about. Also, we had on the list last week, did not have time to get to it. Myrtle Beach named the #1 destination to buy a vacation home. Y'all may talk about that in the show as well. And then also, we are hiring. We'll talk about that. Our team is super busy. We've been crushing it. Tons of people in town. We're looking to add A players to our team, and we'll talk about that in the show as well.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. So let's go ahead and talk about Blake for just a little bit. If you're tuning in for the very first time, don't know who he is, don't know what he's all about. Number one, I'm going to call the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Wall Street Journal, Forbes magazine, Realtor magazine, other national publications as well. May have seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, and been personally endorsed on this very radio station by Sean Hannity, by Glenn Beck, Barbara Corcoran, Gary LaBatte, and more. Put all those together, it is unprecedented, especially here along the Grand Strand. Now, as far as the man, that's who he is. As far as what he does, well, he's got trademark systems that people actually use nationally. But as far as local stuff is concerned, you can't really get all the details on that unless you really get involved as far as Blake is concerned. He helps home buyers, helps home sellers, but if you want to find out what it's all about, get in touch with him. Although, Blake, you do want to give this the most important part of your lesson plan up for everybody who's listening right now.
Yes, and like I mentioned, this is my calling. This is kind of what has been a big driver for me in the show, what we do, because of all the horror stories we see out there that everyone kind of experiences over and over again, right? Which is with their largest asset too. And that's kind of the part, because everyone knows if you've been through a challenge or a struggle with real estate, it's highly emotional, right? It drains you physically, mentally, emotionally. And so the problem is everyone makes this huge mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And it could not be further from the truth, right? Just like any doctor, any lawyer, right? If you're charged with a crime you did not commit, you don't want just any random lawyer. But the reality is people let any agent or whatever is represent them, which leads to what usually leads to the horror story, which happens before they call us, right? And so the reality, what the difference is the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. And that thing is the agent you choose, period. And why is that? The reality is, in selling a home, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. And so if each one's handled correctly, guess what? That saves money, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, meaning that they drop the ball. It could be on anything. For example, they don't call buyers back when they call in on the for sale sign. They don't answer internet leads. They don't reply quick enough. It's not priced right. The photos don't look good. All these things could happen that could cost you potentially your hard-earned equity and leave that on the table. And so what I did, what makes this different, is first of all, we identified every single variable. Most agents have no clue what they are. They're just out there winging it, right? We call it the 3 Ps. They promise the world to get the listing, then they put it into the MLS, and they pray someone brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they spend all their time hunting down the next listing instead of servicing your house, getting it sold. And so what our system does, it's called a guaranteed sold system. The only proven system is home twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. But the reality is what I did there is we identified every single variable and reverse engineered every single one to create maximum leverage at every single point. And then what happens is once you stack those dominoes, right, it creates a compound effect. There's a massive gap between us and everyone else. And so you stack the dominoes up, you knock them down the right ones in the right order, and you have small increments that create gaps from the competition. And at the end of 118, guess what? There's a massive gap between us and everyone else, which always comes back to the one thing that we care about, which is results, right? And so the one analogy that we use the most, because it's obviously kind of the most accurate, is like running a marathon. You're selling your house as a marathon, but what happens is if they shoot that shotgun off or the gun off and they make the noise and everyone takes off, what you see is they all do what? They spread out. And then someone finished 2 and 3 hours ahead of someone else through those small increments. The same exact thing we do with your house. And the reality is some people don't finish a marathon. And so in this aspect, we finish, and we not only finish, we finish fast, and we finish at the top. And that's what our system's designed to do. That's how it got us in the top 1/10% in the world because of how that works and how that stacks up that compound effect. It is exclusive to us. Why? Because I designed it. We license other agents in other parts of the country. I have defended it here in Horry County courts in a legal battle to protect against that we have, and we obviously were able to stop that when someone tried to use that. And so it is proven, is repeatable, and it's obviously something that makes us unique. On the flip side, there's a buyer program, and that buyer program is the same exact thing, but guess what? They're opposite variables, because when you're on the buy side, you're up against the sell side, and you want to make sure those variables are handled correctly. We reverse engineered every single one of those, create a system that's proven repeatable. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Get you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation in the purchase process, aka price, and also through home inspections all the way to the closing table. And so both those are designed for one thing only. That thing is to give you a competitive advantage, period. And that's what our clients get day after day after day. So if you want to know more about that, reach out to me. Give me a call, 843-808-SOLD.
Sounds good. A lot of stuff to get to if you want to make sure and tune in for the next, almost 30 minutes. And hopefully you will stick around for the next 30 minutes, because coming up next, we'll look at the mortgage rates to find out what some of the most important numbers are. Also, we'll look at a market update to look what things are looking like maybe in your neighborhood. That's all coming up in just a second. Get all this information personally by giving Blake a call at Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. Hey, if you were in the market to make the most money for your home, Sean Hannity here with some important advice. Now look, I'm an active investor. I have bought and sold a lot of properties in hot, cold, moderate markets. And one of the lessons I have learned is this: hire the agent that knows how to create the most demand for your home. Now, if I needed to create demand in this market, no question, there's only one real estate agent I trust if I needed to sell my home. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, he services the entire Myrtle Beach area, attracts hundreds of buyers every week, and sells a home on average every 24 hours. Now, that helps you generate multiple offers and sell your home for the most money possible. Plus, it's like getting an immediate offer on your home, because if your home doesn't sell for the price and the deadline you agree to, you will have it bought for cash, and he offers flexible fees. Find out how much demand your home can command right now. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agree to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up in just a minute, we'll find out what those big numbers are. Hopefully they're not big numbers. Hopefully they're smaller numbers, the mortgage rate. But right now, I want to find out what the market is looking like. You got any new numbers on what's happening around here?
Yeah, we got the brand new market update real-time numbers. And as you know, agents kind of continue to put numbers in through the month. And so they're actually looking better and better, which is great news. And so if you look at last month, I'll go really quick for anyone that missed last week's show. Last month, single-family home sales was up 3.5% from the same month last year, which is awesome. So, for example, to give you some contrast, July of last year, 538 home sales in our MLS area, which is basically Horry, Georgetown County. This year, 557. So it went up from 538 to 557, which is great news. That's single-family home sales, which is really what most of the marketplace is. That's what I like to use to judge kind of what's going on and keep my finger on it, because that's just what majority of the sales are in that regard. The great part about price, too, price is up as well. Price up 6.8% from the same month last year. So, for example, last July it was 211,560. This July, 226 even. So there's some equity, obviously, that goes to a lot of people's pockets there, and that's median price, which is awesome to look at as well. Overall, the months of supply exactly flat where it was the same month last year, but the reality is still very, very low inventory. We saw a huge drop from June. In June, there were 5.6 months of inventory. In July, 5.3 months inventory. And so what that means is anything less than 6 months is still a seller's market, right? That's how you gauge how much inventory is sitting out there, how fast is it moving, kind of things like that, where you're able to kind of keep a feel for. And the whole model is a hypothetical example. Let's say that not one single new home was listed. It would take 5.3 months at the current run rate to sell through all those. And we use that to help gauge what's going on in your neighborhood, your marketplace, all that stuff as well, which is something that's important to kind of watch. Overall, new construction also had a great month last month, up 7.1% from the same month last year, which is great news. So, for example, went from 269 up to 288 this year, which is great news. And if you remember a few months back, new construction has been getting hammered a little bit here, at least based on those numbers. For the new construction prices, up 8.5% last month, which is awesome. Median price $275,325. So great news over there as well. And inventory was actually up. It actually jumped up 11%. That's one of the biggest numbers I've seen from an inventory jump. And it has to do, that's compared to the same month last year. And so if you think about that, that's a lot of stuff being built. Anytime you're obviously driving around the beach here, you see, guess what they're doing? Popping up homes everywhere. And so that's been a challenge there. In the previous months is where there's just a shortage. Now it's kind of getting caught back up. Right now there's 5.7 months of inventory. That is something to watch a little bit and kind of see what happens overall going forward. But into condo sales, if you look at condo sales that are kind of resale condos, they're pretty much flat. They're up 0.2% compared to the same month last year. And so, for example, it's crazy. Look how close. I think Dave and I talked about this last week. Last July, there's 516 condo sales. This July, 517 condo sales, right? So people are pretty predictable, overall. I'm a big nerd for numbers. That's one thing you watch. It's crazy to watch how within and how cyclical these numbers are and how people operate overall. But the cool part is, in this regard, price is up 7.2%. So we had one more sale than last year, but on the median price on average there is up to 139,000 even for condos. And again, condos depends on what type condo, what area. You have what we call condo tails grouped in there. So it's like efficiency units on the ocean, so they can sell for less than 100,000 sometimes, which skews the numbers a little bit. Obviously, we got some condos we sold over $1 million. We have some that we sold under $100,000. Just depends on your micro market. So that's something you dig into if you want to call us. We're more than happy to gauge that for you. Inventory for condos is low, 5.0 months of inventory, one of the lowest we've seen it. Kind of crept back down. So, for example, in June, there's 5.2 months. In July, 5.0 months, meaning that there's less available, right? Sales pretty much flat. That's why you're seeing pressure on price. And so we did very, very well last month, which is great news for us. After seeing about 3 months of declining sales, we saw a positive bump up, which I think a lot of it has to do with the extra adrenaline shot we had from the interest rates, where they were record lows. I think we had a 3-year low last month. And so we're still hovering on that now. That's kind of been driving it. That's something I think is a blessing for us going into this fall market, where we see a different side. We taught this with my team last week, how we're seeing that shift from a new buyer type that comes in town. Usually, typically, their kids are already grown up, right? They're coming in the shoulder seasons, which isn't quite as crazy. Their average sale price tends to be a little higher. And so we're dialed into them all across the country. And our team's been on the phones over and over and over. Each person on my team makes 100 phone calls a day to leads that we have just to touch base. Why? Because we have people all over the country that are buying literally even international buyers that work with a lot. And so part of that is helping nurture and help serve them until they come in town. Then obviously we're able to help show them stuff when they're here. So our team's calendars are packed going into the next 2 weekends. Again, one thing driving that is interest rates. We've seen that doing pretty well the past couple months. Last week's show was 3.60%. Right now we're at 3.65. We've seen that bump up and down a little bit the past week. You'll probably see that maybe jump down a little bit based on Monday with all this trade stuff going on. Because anytime the bond market improves, so does interest rates as a lagging indicator there. So 30-year fixed rate right now 3.65, a 15-year fixed rate 3.34, a 30-year FHA loan. This is what's been kind of crazy to me lately, is just watching this number, loving this number really, is 3.31%. So you can get in with such a small amount of money down with the FHA loan, and you can own for a lot less than you can rent. We've had multiple people do that client-wise lately. We've had even some of my team, Ryan, did the same thing as well. And so literally have a mortgage owned place that's much nicer, that you own for less money than he was spending. I think it's $300 a month they end up saving, which was awesome. A jumbo loan, a 30-year jumbo loan right now, 3.76%, and a 5-year adjust rate mortgage, 3.44%. And so that's something that, I didn't think we'd see anywhere back down that low, 6, 8, 12 months ago. And so everyone, if you remember looking back, predicted would be at 5%, all this stuff. And so great time to make a move, right? If you're moving up, take advantage of that. Why? Because buying power has increased. You can borrow more money for less, obviously, interest, which allows you to either have a lower payment or qualify for higher purchase price as well. And so on the flip side of that, if you're downsizing, take advantage of the peak here while interest rates are low, while buyers are still moving. Don't wait and call me in November, December trying to get something moved, when right now is the kind of the peak time to do that at the end of the summer market into that fall market, which is very, very good for us here as well.
All right. Now, I was totally lost with doing something. Did you do I'll edit this out. Don't worry about it. Did you do the interest rates? Did you?
Yeah, rates good in that. Yeah. So let's take a quick break and come right back.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and start it here. And like I said, I'll do a quick splice on it. All right. Thanks a lot. We got a lot more coming your way in just a minute, including the hot buyers alert. We'll find out what's going on in just a second. And we'll also find out what is going on with some other great things you need to know about. We got success stories to tell you about and a whole lot more. It's all coming your way in just a second. If you want to get in touch with Blake, easy to do. Call into his office at Sloan Realty Group, 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go ahead and go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When I'm Moving On won the award for ACM Song of the Year, it struck a chord with folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it comes time to sell their home. If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing.
It's the Extra Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Get in touch with Blake at his office. It's 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com. Some great success stories coming your way in just a second. Time right now, though, for your hot buyers alert. Blake and his team working with just a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area. You heard just a second ago, making dozens, if not 100 calls on a daily basis to find out and talk to people who are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area. And if your home is anywhere in the range between $150,000 to $3.5 million, and even thinking of selling, give Blake a call right now because you want to hear what he has to say. Now, how many people are out there looking for your home? Lots and lots. As a matter of fact, he's gone over the 54,000 mark. What am I talking about? These are active home buyers that are on Blake's website right now that are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area, and they are looking not just on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, several times a day, because if there's any new properties going up, they want to be the first ones to be able to get their hands on it.
Yes, like stalking is crazy right now. I was just looking right now. Big shout out to Susan and Roger Poole from Charlotte, North Carolina. She has, this might be a record here, 1,548 visits, and she last logged into our site 4 minutes ago. And so these are like real buyers, like you said, from all over the country in that regard. Another quick shout out to Harry from Churchton, Maryland. I've never been there, heard that. This is a new one too I haven't heard of. Tammy Usher, she's from Jefferson, South Carolina.
I don't know where that is.
I was born and raised here too. I don't even know exactly where Jefferson is in South Carolina. She's looking. We got another one, Rod Lee from Ridgely, Maryland. But we have them all over the country. I got West Virginia right here, Little River, North Myrtle Beach, Albany, New York, Wilton, North Carolina, Martinsboro, Chicago, Illinois. And so the reality is these buyers from all over the country. How is that possible? Because I spend a massive, massive, massive amount of money to drive traffic. Why? Because my business model. And so this is something that's kind of important to share. I haven't really shared this in a while, but what makes you different than all the other agents, right? Something I get all the time. My business model. Most of the time what you find, you have one single agent who's just trying to juggle all these buyers. So you got one person, right? It's how all the real estate industry's been since I grew up in it, since my parents did it. And what happened is you have one person trying to juggle all the balls. They're trying to work with buyers. They're trying to work with sellers. They're trying to do their marketing. They're trying to do their advertising. They're trying to do their administration, their closings. And so what that's like is like having the same person at McDonald's do the front register, the draft, and the french fries at the same time, right? If you went to eat at McDonald's and that person was doing that, that food would probably not be too good. It's the same exact thing you see from an experience standpoint when you're buying or selling a house. And so what I did, we looked at what people were doing outside of real estate. We brought that into real estate. And so the first thing changed was business model, right? We have a team of buyer experts. I think we're at 20 plus buyer experts right now. We have listing partners who are specialists in listings. We have a full inside sales team. We have an outside sales team. We have administrative people, a photographer, all these things on staff. So guess what? It runs like a machine. And so we have a team of what we call specialists versus having a team of generalists. You have a generalist trying to master everything, right? Guess what's happening? They're not mastering anything. And so because of this business model, it allows me to outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint, bottom line, right? So we're driving massive, massive traffic. Like Dave talked about right now, we're just crossed the 54,000 active buyers, 54,018 active buyers right now that are searching. These are real people with username, password accounts. Why do I share that? Because if you're thinking about selling your house, do you want the dude or the lady that's going to put the for sale sign in the front yard and then start? Or you want the one that's already spending tens of thousands of dollars right now driving traffic that already has the buyers lined up? And so that's how we're able to sell properties faster for more money, because we literally have a software that reverse engineer your listing and it will match up the most likely buyers based on previous search patterns, just like your Facebook ad does. And so that's what makes me different. That's what makes us different. We're cutting edge doing this type of stuff with technology, while a lot of agents are still struggling to check out email and use Microsoft Outlook, right? We're using high level algorithms and things that match up buyer and seller that separates us in a large thing. So the reason I share that is because if you're thinking about selling, right, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Like you mentioned, we need inventory. We're in a shortage of inventory, especially my team. We're looking for properties to match up for these people who search the site 1,500 times. Right here, John Fitter has been here 502 visits. And so, and you have low ones. You have Susan Floyd from Albany, 24 visits. And so these are real people. If you're thinking about selling, reach out, call me. I want to get in really quick to two quick success stories. These are super cool in my way, because these are unique ones this week that I want to share. So big shout out to Daniel and Catherine. They listed with us. Initially, they didn't make the mistake going somewhere else first. But here's the interesting part. They were super kind of scared in the beginning because they were looking to downsize, but they're scared that we're going to sell their property too fast. And that's something we hear a lot because of our system. Like we can control that however we want to. And so are we able to sell it fast? Absolutely. But we always can control the date. So we can push it out 60 days, whatever you need. We can negotiate that for you. But here's the whole thing. They basically were scared they would sell their property too fast and have nowhere to live when they're downsizing. So we let them know that, hey, look, this is a delicate dance. We do this all the time. We're very good at it. We crafted, and I help craft a marketing strategy to help get maximum dollar for their home, and also obviously launch our global marketing blitz, professional photos, all that stuff. Here's the cool part. This past month, we launched it on the 11th. We found them a low maintenance townhome they love because they were downsizing. We put their primary home under contract on the 19th, made an offer on their dream home the same exact day, put both of them under contract. And here's the coolest thing we did. We worked it out so they can stay in their house for 5 extra days after it closed, so they would not have to get a mortgage on the property. And so if you think about that, if you do a simultaneous closing, they're going to have to get a mortgage. And that was our initial thought. Like we have to get a mortgage on this townhouse that we're downsizing to, because we don't have to go from one closing to the other. And so what we did, we went back and said, hey, look, just avoid the 2 closings and having the closing costs of a lender. We're going to negotiate for you to be able to stay in the house for 5 days, then close on the second property. That way you already have your funds from escrow, pay cash for the second townhome. Boom, we're able to do that. And so we saved them $6,000 just in closing costs, avoiding having to do that loan, which is awesome. So to say they're happy is an understatement. So big congratulations to them. And I want to share that because we're very unique in what we do, right? We can make things happen based on your needs. And so we're not the cookie cutter, just put it in the box, right? Reach out to us. We're very, very good at this delicate dance. And that's the thing that we designed the guaranteed sale for. Do you buy first or sell first? These are things that I designed and we designed to help solve these problems. And so don't ever worry about that. One thing we've been very, very good at lately is helping people downsize, especially in the marketplace right now. Also, a big shout out to Nate and Jackie. They had a farm property in Horry County that they bought 3 years ago. Jackie's in the military. She was getting transferred to a new location. Obviously wants to bring her family with her. Nate's a big time listener to the show. So big shout out to Nate. I appreciate you reaching out to us. And he knew there was only one agent to call. Reach out to us. We picked a strategy, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, drove massive traffic, put the farm and the home under contract within just a couple weeks. Now Jackie and Nate can move to their new place where she's deployed to without any stress, without leaving the home behind, all that stuff. Obviously, by making the right call the first time. Don't wait and go through the horror story, because the only thing worse than your house not selling 6 months is you selling it, leaving $20,000 on the table. I hear that story all the time overall as well. How much time we got left?
About 2.5.
2.5. I want to touch that thing about, I'm getting all this question about this interest rate. Sorry, about the recession, right? And the big thing then I'll talk deeper next week, but the recession does not equal a housing crisis. And the interesting thing that was kind of these numbers, if you look at the last 6 recessions, 1973, 80, 83, 91, 2001, and 2008, right? Only one of those was actually had negative numbers from real estate value standpoint. Obviously, that was the one in 2008 because that was caused by one thing, the housing industry. And I told my team this. I was like, look, when I got into business in 2005, people were making $50,000 a day. We take a condo, they close on it, they put it right back on the market the same day for $50,000 more dollars. And guess what? Somebody buy it. It's crazy. And so nothing in today's marketplace, anything like that. If we do potentially see a recession, if you look back on the other 6, there's actually a gain in those price changes over that recession time. I'm not saying that will, but it's not going to be anything like before, especially being in our marketplace where we're insulated, where people are still retiring. Guess where they're moving to? Myrtle Beach. And so I got tons and tons of data I can share on this, on kind of what makes a difference. But I guess we'll jump into that next week when we have plenty of time.
All right, still got about a minute and a half or so.
So he talks about really kind of they surveyed a lot of people, and it says basically, if a recession is to occur, it's unlikely it's going to be housing related this time, right? Therefore, the housing sector should be one of the leading sources to help come out of the recession and should be one of the least affected. And so I believe in that because it's nothing like it was last time. Last time they were doing cash outs and all kind of crazy stuff. Remember, they had no doc loans. You were buying loans without even proving income. And so at this time, it's a lot more stable just because I've been on both sides of this and experienced it. And the one thing people remember is the recession does not necessarily mean a housing crisis. The housing crisis is kind of what led to Stone last year regarding last time going into that recession. So anyways, more than happy to chat more about it. But if you're coming at the peak, we are, I think, coming a little bit of a peak from a value standpoint. We're seeing that level up. Reach out to me while the market's still hot, both seasonally. Don't wait till November, December to get that ball rolling. Call me today, 843-808-SOLD.
The last 30 seconds, you said you're looking for people?
Yes, looking to add talent to our team. We're growing. Like you said, we have 54,000 leads. I need people who can follow up with those leads. And so we have buyers from all over. We have step-by-step training. We're looking for A players who want to win at business and also win at life for sure.
If you think you can hang,
yes,
like a call.
That's the hardest thing.
For you, 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. And of course, if you've got any real estate questions or you're interested in anything that Blake had to say, that same phone number, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com. Blake, talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Sounds good. It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, if you were in the market to make the most money for your home, Sean Hannity here with some important advice. Now, look, I'm an active investor. I have bought and sold a lot of properties in hot, cold, moderate markets. And one of the lessons